He's coming home. He's coming home, and it is not the man we want home. And what about the marriage? We just going to accept that he doesn't now want to spend much time with Meghan Markle at all, and everyone's just going to pretend as if that's totally normal.
Back and forth, spending time away from your family, that tells me there's a problem in the marriage.
Meghan Markle may be staring at the one scenario that could rip the entire California plan apart. Prince Harry is coming back to Britain again, and now he wants to keep coming back every few months, again and again. More time in Britain, more royal connections, more work on British soil while Meghan remains thousands of miles away in California. So what exactly is happening here?
He wants more of a foothold here, the source went on. More trips back, less courtroom drama. Interesting. I don't think any of us were forcing him into those legal battles. Do you? Do you think that?
Is Harry simply rebuilding a relationship with his father and his old charities? Or are we watching the first stages of something much bigger? A man quietly creating an escape route from the life he built in Montecito. Because this is where the story gets uncomfortable. Harry is not talking about one quick visit. He is reportedly preparing to spend more and more time in the UK over the next year, with another return expected in September for roughly a week.
No decision has been made on whether the Duchess of Sussex or their children, Archie and Lily, will travel from California to join Harry during the visit. Can I just say, I don't care, do you? Like, are we all just going to sign up for this merry-go-round time and again?
And the language around these trips matters. The idea is no longer that Britain is somewhere he reluctantly visits when he absolutely has to. Suddenly, Britain is becoming a place where he wants a stronger foothold. A place he wants to see more often. A place where he wants to work, reconnect, and apparently become a regular presence again.
It's looking more like Harry's goal and less of Meghan's goal. That could change, but I'm not so sure it will.
And Meghan? That is where the silence becomes very loud. No decision has been made about whether she will join him. No clear plan has been announced for her to suddenly start making these regular British trips too. So viewers, ask yourselves the obvious question. If Harry is building a life that increasingly includes Britain every few months, where exactly does Meghan fit into that plan?
It is understood that Harry wants to spend more time in the UK for several reasons. The money's run out. No one wants to hire me anymore. Meghan's an absolute bitch at home. Oh, no. No, they're not the reasons. He wants to try and see his father and his wider family more frequently. Interesting. He didn't care about that in the past, did he?
For years, the Sussex story was presented as one united escape. Harry and Meghan left royal life, moved across the Atlantic, and built the California dream together. The message was simple. America was freedom, Britain was the old life, and Montecito was the future. But now look at the direction of travel. Harry is the one repeatedly crossing the Atlantic.
Trust me, this country, the disunited kingdom, we are going through a lot at the moment, okay? There's a lot going on. Like, seriously, the last thing this country needs is regular visits every few months from Mr. Culture War, Mr. Troublemaker, Mr. You're Racist himself, Prince Harry.
Harry is the one talking about spending more time around his father and wider family. Harry is the one increasing his UK commitments, and suddenly that clean break from Britain does not look very clean at all. The official explanation sounds perfectly respectable. Harry wants to see his father and family more often. He wants to support charities and patronages in person. He has Invictus responsibilities, Well Child, and other causes with strong British ties. Fine, those are real reasons to travel, but they do not erase the bigger question. Why is this becoming a pattern now?
And spare me, Pete Diner, the idea that he's doing this because he hates the courtroom and he wants to see his family more. I mean, he's doing this out of desperation. Desperation because nothing has worked in Hollywood. He's got no work. Literally no work. No work in America at all. It all flopped. And he, you know, as we have discussed a lot, he does want to spend increasing amounts of time away from his difficult wife.
Before we continue, one quick thing. One thing I've realized is that most families don't have their important information organized in one place. That's exactly why I recommend the Family Vault, a simple printable and fillable organizer where you can keep everything from important documents and insurance to medical information, passwords. You'll find the link in the description, or you can simply scan the QR code on your screen. Now let's get back to today's story.
Why does he need a bigger foothold now? And why does this sudden return to Britain arrive at the exact moment the Sussex commercial machine looks more fragile than ever? That is the part that changes this from a travel story into a pressure story. The California experiment was supposed to turn Harry and Meghan into a global power couple. Massive media deals, Hollywood access, prestige projects, big launches, huge audiences. Instead, project after project has been followed by questions about audience interest, business durability, and whether the Sussex name still has the pulling power it once had.
Meghan's brand, it is toxic, it is something that repels people, and you can't rely on it to help you. It will bring disaster. That's what it will do.
And when the commercial side weakens, the pressure does not stay inside a balance sheet, it follows you home. Because money pressure is not just about being broke. Nobody needs to claim Harry and Meghan are suddenly penniless to understand the issue. It is about expectations. It is about the lifestyle they built, the staff, the security, the house, the businesses, the publicity operation, and the need to keep producing something that actually works.
Anything that you do with her is going to be a failure. I mean, just look at the things that happen with Meghan when she just goes to different events. She's had 3 major problems with A-listers. Martha Stewart, Kris Kardashian, right? And who was the third one, Dan? There was another A-lister. Issues with, I know, Kevin Costner. She brings trouble.
Yeah.
She just doesn't bring any goodness.
I mean, Gwyneth Paltrow too.
Say anything.
Even
Has there
though-
been one thing? Nothing.
When you leave the royal machine and declare financial independence, your own projects have to carry the weight. And if those projects keep underperforming, the question gets more brutal every year. What is the long-term plan? That is why the latest Cookie Queen's numbers matter.
But it really is pointing out just how much of a failure Cookie Queens has been. But look at this. According to the numbers.com and Box Office Moji, when you actually tracked the per theatre take for Cookie Queens, it is disastrous.
Not because one film decides the fate of a marriage, it obviously does not, but because it adds to a pattern the Sussex brand desperately did not need. The movie reportedly fell to tiny daily box office takes as its run faded figures in the low hundreds of dollars, then even lower, with one reported day dropping to just $58.
$58 per screen. I mean, it's a disaster. There has been some talk that Meghan will submit this film for an Oscar. But that's not a surprise.
That is not the kind of momentum anyone associates with a breakthrough Hollywood success. And think about what was supposed to happen. Meghan's association was meant to create attention. Attention was meant to create curiosity. Curiosity was meant to create tickets, buzz, and expansion. Instead, the conversation quickly became about how little money the screenings were bringing in.
If it wasn't for the desperate commercial failure. Because, of course, the commercial failures, the lack of being able to make money continues to heap the pressure on the marriage.
That is devastating for the bigger brand argument, because celebrity only has commercial value if people actually show up. So now put these two stories next to each other. On one side, another disappointing commercial result in America. On the other, Harry announcing that he intends to keep coming back to Britain more frequently. Coincidence? Maybe.
Almost begs the question, why is he putting this information into the press? It doesn't make any sense. But if you look at it from the perspective that Meghan and Harry may be in conflict with his decision to go back frequently, or to the fact that he's even putting this out into the press, it could be a way to send a message to his wife that is what we're getting ready to do. We're getting ready to go back more often because we're going to move back eventually.
But it is exactly the kind of timing that makes people ask whether Harry is beginning to look back toward the one world where his name still has automatic institutional weight. In America, Harry has to build. In Britain, Harry already belongs to a story that existed before Meghan, before Netflix, before Montecito, and before every failed reinvention. He is still the king's son.
Harry being in America makes absolutely no sense. The man is a prince from the United Kingdom. What's his butt doing over here in America playing Disneyland? I've always said this, people. He's got no value in America as a prince.
He still has long-standing charitable connections. He still attracts massive press attention simply by landing at Heathrow. He does not have to invent a reason for people to know who he is. That difference matters. And then we get to the marriage question, the part nobody can prove from a flight schedule, but nobody can completely ignore either.
And what about the marriage? We just going to accept that he doesn't now want to spend much time with Meghan Markle at all, and everyone's just going to pretend as if that's totally normal. Oh, and by the way, the source adds, and he always loves seeing his family. Well, not William, not Catherine, the Princess of Wales, not Zara, and Mike Tyndall, not Princess Anne, not Sophie, not Edward. So who's he talking about?
A husband choosing to spend more time in ocean away from his wife does not automatically mean a marriage is collapsing. But when the trips become regular, when the public messaging begins to look different, when one spouse appears increasingly drawn back toward the country they once dramatically left, people are naturally going to ask what is happening behind closed doors.
That's not what Meghan is looking to do. I think at some point she may have to do it because Hollywood has given up on her. She doesn't have enough talent. She doesn't have enough je ne sais quoi to make it work in California. She just doesn't.
Is Meghan thrilled about Harry spending more and more time in Britain? Does she want to return with him? Is she comfortable with him rebuilding family ties that once seemed almost completely shattered? Or is Harry simply making these decisions because he has decided that Britain needs to become a bigger part of his life again, whether Meghan loves the idea or not? That last possibility is where this story becomes explosive. Because imagine what this would have sounded like 5 years ago.
There's a bigger reason why we're hearing about this that is not obvious. And I think it has to do with Meghan, because you have to remember, we had been getting briefings on Harry and Meghan with contradictions for a while. And Meghan, I think, would put out something, and then Harry would put out something that completely contradicted each other. And I think that's why he's doing it.
Harry telling Meghan, "I am going back to Britain every few months. I want more of a foothold there. I want to spend more time around my family. I want my UK work to become a bigger part of my schedule." That would have sounded like a reversal of the entire Megxit project. Yet in 2026, that is basically the direction now being discussed. And there is another sign that the California fairy tale may not feel as permanent as it once did.
Quietly putting it out into the real estate world that really they want to get rid of this mansion.
They cannot afford that home.
The renewed chatter around their Montecito mansion. We talked about that yesterday, and I do not want to drag the entire house story through another video, but it fits here for one reason. The very fact that sale speculation can now sit alongside Harry's increasingly frequent UK returns creates a completely different image of the Sussex future.
So is it really a coincidence that as Prince Harry and Meghan Markle are quietly trying to hawk their Montecito home without putting it on the market and going through the embarrassment of having to do that, we learned Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce, two of their sworn Hollywood enemies, could be looking to buy in the area.
For years, that mansion was more than a house. It was the symbol, the giant California reset, the place that screamed, "We left, and we are never looking back." So when people start talking about the possibility of that home being sold at the same time, Harry is trying to establish a stronger British foothold. Of course, the questions explode. Is Montecito still the permanent endgame? Are they downsizing, restructuring, moving?
trying to sort of suggest, oh, look, our kitchen has been updated, even though nothing has really changed. And Nancy Sidley pointing out, my girl Restine Dollface was right. Why would this be in a Realtor magazine? And there is the headline on Realtor.com. Meghan Markle starts her 45th birthday with a pajama party around the kitchen of $14.7 million Montecito mansion. I mean, there's no way that they need to write about it on a website like that, P. Diner, unless the house is going to be coming up for sale.
Or is the house chatter simply another rumor attaching itself to a couple whose future suddenly looks less settled than it used to? We do not know that the mansion story means a move is definitely happening, and it would be ridiculous to pretend otherwise. But as a symbol, it is impossible to miss. One pillar of the California dream is surrounded by sale chatter, while Harry is openly increasing his British presence. That is not proof of an escape plan. It is exactly why people are asking whether one is forming, and Harry's family situation adds another layer.
Sources close to Harry said that no decision has yet been made on whether he will stay at Buckingham Palace during his visit. So again, that little dangling carrot of Harry at Buckingham Palace, something that destroys our view of the monarchy, sadly still there.
His recent reunion with King Charles was described as successful enough that he now wants more contact. That matters, because the emotional argument for staying away from Britain becomes weaker if Harry actually enjoys the visits. If he can come in, see his father, handle his engagements, and leave without the chaos that once seemed to dominate every return, Britain becomes easier, familiar, useful, maybe even comforting.
But again, he can fly in and out with no one having to know. Seriously, there is no need for these briefings. You are a private citizen. If you want to see your friends and family, not many of them want to see you, but if you want to see them, then fine, just come in, come out, zip it. Just like Taylor Swift does, just like Mark Zuckerberg does, just like Elon Musk does, zip it.
Notice what is happening. The country Harry once appeared desperate to escape is now becoming the place he keeps finding reasons to return to. That reversal is enormous. And it is hard not to see the humiliation buried inside it. The grand post-royal promise was that Harry had escaped a system he no longer needed. Britain was supposed to be the burden. California was supposed to be the liberation. Yet now, after years of dramatic interviews, legal fights, business launches, and Hollywood promises, the same prince who flew away on what he once called a freedom flight is deliberately creating reasons to fly back.
Prince Freedom Flight Harry is the biggest gaslighter in the world. This article says he wants less courtroom drama and he always loves seeing his family. The failed litigation was all his, and P-Brain helped portray his own family as trapped racists. He's an utter creep.
Not once, not for an emergency, regularly, every few months. That is not a tiny adjustment to the plan. That is a major change in direction, and if Meghan does not want the same thing, then somebody in that marriage is going to have to compromise. The question is, who? Does Harry keep sacrificing the British life he clearly still wants, or does Meghan accept that the man she built a California future with is now pulling part of that future back across the Atlantic? Either way, the pressure does not disappear. It gets sharper. There is still tension, obviously.
If that is truly what he wants, then maybe he should stop suing anyone who dares to disagree with him or hold him and his wife accountable. Maybe he should visit his family without briefing the press on his every move, only to turn around and complain that his privacy has been violated. At this point, I wouldn't believe Harry if he told me the sky was blue.
His relationship with Prince William has not magically repaired itself. Catherine is not suddenly part of some happy Sussex reunion. Harry's legal battles over security have not disappeared either. He is still pushing for his threat level and security requirements to be reviewed after losing the previous fight for automatic police protection. But even that creates another strange contradiction. If Britain was once framed as dangerously difficult for Harry and his family, how does he now plan to visit every few months?
Harry is still continuing the battle, even though the visit last month, he now admits went off with any security hitches. No, Harry, you can just keep doing what you did. You can come on. Actually, next time, please don't announce it. Don't tell anyone. Just come in, do your thing, leave. Seriously, you don't need security.
Apparently, his last trip went smoothly, and if the new template works, fly in, carry out engagements, meet whoever is willing to meet, then fly out, Harry may have discovered that he can maintain a British life without fully returning to royal duty. That is the clever part. He does not need a dramatic announcement saying, "I am moving home." He does not need to reverse Megxit in one giant humiliating press conference. He can simply return more often, then more often again. A week here, another trip there, Invictus, charity work, a family visit, another meeting, another event. And before anyone notices, Britain is no longer an occasional destination. It is a second base. So, is that the plan?
Prince is also hoping to return to Ukraine. Yeah, that really safe place in the coming months. So what happened to the alleged risk that was so great to Harry and his family? Did it ever exist at all? No, but it was sure convenient for Harry and Meghan at the time. Now that it isn't, poof, risk is a forgotten memory.
Because if Harry genuinely wanted nothing more than a few charity appearances, why is the language about a stronger foothold so important? Why tell the world that the frequency is increasing? Why create expectations months in advance? Why not simply visit privately when necessary? One possible answer is obvious. Harry wants the British public, the palace, and perhaps even Meghan herself to get used to the idea. Normalize the returns, make them routine, remove the shock value. Then whatever comes next feels less dramatic because the first step has already happened 10 times.
So Harry has left. He's leaving California to be more of a working royal. He hasn't completely left California, but that is what he is looking to do more often.
And this is where the financial pressure returns to the story. If the Sussex business empire were exploding with success in America, Harry spending huge chunks of time in Britain would look stranger. If new Hollywood deals were pouring in, if every Meghan project were becoming a hit, if their brand had unstoppable momentum, there would be less reason to wonder whether Harry was looking for another path. But that is not the environment around them right now. Instead, the brand conversation keeps circling back to disappointing projects, shrinking excitement, and the constant search for the next reinvention.
But all it does, it validates her failure. It validates that her name means absolutely nothing. It shows people that you can't rely on her to bring any good to a project. It shows you that anything that she is attached to will fail because she has the repellent effect. People don't want to be drawn to anything that she's, attached to.
Cookie Queens was supposed to create a positive entertainment moment. Instead, its box office collapse became another punchline. Netflix has not become the endless golden pipeline once imagined. Meghan's business ventures keep attracting enormous publicity, but also enormous scrutiny over how much real demand sits underneath the headlines. And Harry? What is Harry's independent American identity now? Beyond Invictus and the royal story attached to his name, where is the giant post-royal empire he was supposed to build? That is a serious question.
California may offer a lot of freedom, access to A-listers when they're willing, which is less so now, different commercial opportunities, but Britain is where his royal identity carries the greatest weight.
Maybe that is why Britain suddenly looks useful again. Not because Harry has forgotten every complaint he ever made. Not because Buckingham Palace is throwing open the gates and pretending nothing happened. But because the royal connection remains the most powerful thing attached to his public identity, and the more the California reinvention struggles, the harder it becomes to pretend that connection does not matter.
Why would you announce all of this? Why is this information that we need to know about?
100%. This is all about managing the expectations, though, too, of the public, isn't it? This is what's coming. Yeah. This is why it's coming. Look, we keep seeing, P. Dina, examples of the failure. Terrible examples of the failure.
Viewers, I want to know what you think. Is Harry genuinely returning for his father and his charities, nothing more? Or do you think he is slowly preparing a route back into Britain because life in California is no longer delivering what he expected? And what about Meghan? Would she ever follow him back for longer stretches? Could you actually imagine Meghan Markle spending more time in Britain again after everything that has happened? Or is this going to become Harry's world and Meghan's world, running on two completely different tracks? Because that may be the biggest warning sign of all. Couples can survive business failures, They can survive bad press. They can survive travel. But when two people begin moving toward completely different futures, pressure builds very quickly.
Going to start seeing him show up to more family events. Like Harry will be there without Meghan. So he's trying to integrate slowly back into the royal family and spending less time in California, but still saying officially he's in California.
Meghan's future still appears centered on California, lifestyle branding, entertainment, and her own commercial identity. Harry's future suddenly appears to include more Britain, more family, more traditional patronage work, and more time connected to the world he walked away from. Those are not automatically incompatible lives, but they are very different directions. And if the money side continues to disappoint, that difference becomes harder to ignore. Every flop raises the stakes for the next project.
Yeah, Beyonce, we see there, Jamie Kern, Lena. I mean, there's been a load she's had big trouble with, actually. And the thing is, P. Dina, most people don't want it to blow up into a public battle, so they don't say much about it. But I mean, we even saw it with Poe, the MasterChef judge recently in Australia too.
Before we continue, I want to mention something really quick. Organizing your family's important information is one of those things most of us know we should do, but we keep putting it off. That's exactly why there's the Family Vault. It gives you one place to organize your important documents, insurance, medical information, passwords, and more, so everything is easy to find when it's needed. You'll find the link in the description, or you can scan the QR code on your screen. That's all. Now let's get back to today's story.
Every underwhelming launch makes the next deal more important. Every expensive year makes stability more valuable. At some point, emotion and economics collide. That is why I would not dismiss these UK trips as boring scheduling news. The schedule may be the story. Harry is building repetition. Repetition becomes routine. Routine becomes a new normal. And a new normal can quietly become a new life. September will be the next test. Does Harry come back for the week? Do his engagements and disappear again? Does he see the king? Does he stay somewhere connected to the palace? Does Meghan join him? Does she stay in California? And most importantly, after September, how quickly does the next British trip appear?
Prince Harry now admitting his desire, his plot, his secret ploy, his plan. You can use whatever term you want to overturn the Sandringham summit and reverse Megxit.
Because once every few months starts becoming real, the entire Sussex map changes. The California mansion no longer looks like the only center of gravity. Hollywood no longer looks like the only future. Britain is back on the board. Charles is back on the board. Harry's old charities are back on the board. And if Meghan is not standing beside him while he rebuilds those connections, people are going to keep asking the question she probably hates most. Is Prince Harry building a life that no longer depends on Meghan Markle? Maybe this is nothing more than a son wanting more time with his father. Maybe it is practical planning ahead of Invictus. Maybe all the marriage talk is noise. But when commercial pressure, disappointing projects, Montecito uncertainty, and increasingly frequent solo UK returns all arrive in the same chapter, ignoring the pattern would be just as foolish as pretending we know exactly how it ends.
And he'll be back every few months. Oh, and by the way, that is just the beginning. Do you think the king has said hell no? Unfortunately not.
So watch what Harry does next, not what anyone says. Watch the flights. Watch the length of the visits. Watch whether Meghan comes. Watch whether the king sees him again. Watch whether the September trip turns into another trip before Christmas. And watch that Montecito house story too, because if the California anchor starts moving at the same time Harry's British foothold grows stronger, then this stops looking like a collection of random headlines. It starts looking like a transition. And if that transition is already underway, the biggest question is not whether Harry is coming home for a week. It is whether, piece by piece, he has already started finding his way out.